What's up everybody, welcome to today's tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how we can create and use dummy data frames for our experimentation. Why is this required to create or use dummy data frames? Is because sometimes I've seen in interviews the interviewers are not going to provide me any kind of data frame to start with or play with or to test. So we do not use or create data frames that are available to us through different libraries. Most of the times we actually read from CSV files or Parquet file. So when we see this question during the interview, and this is the first step, that you have to have your data frame ready to do some more experimentation, do some more lines of coding. I don't want you to get surprised. So I thought that maybe it's a good idea to show you a few techniques to create or use dummy data frames. So we will start by importing Pandas library as PD. Pandas as PD. Okay, and then I'm going to run a text section here, just writing down what we're going to do here. So we're going to see techniques to create or use dummy data frames, and the reason for that is to test your code, to start with some data for more experimentation, and the interviewers might not be interested to use a data frame from CSV file. There's no CSV files, for example. Say the interviewer is saying that, okay, I'm going to test your coding skill, but I'm not going to provide you any CSV file. I'm not ready. I have not provided any kind of CSV file sometimes in interview. So that's why I think that this is going to be some handy techniques. So technique number one is going to be Pandas util.testing module data frames. The second option is going to be Scikit-Learn, our favorite. Scikit-Learn also has some data frames built in that you can play with. And third one is Numpy to create some toy dummy data frame from scratch. So this is not any kind of standard data frame or anything like that. Numpy is going to just give us some option to play with. This is a fast option. So for Pandas, say what we're going to do is, I said that Pandas has util.testing. So let's take a look at it. pd.util.testing. And then we have a bunch of options for us. So if we type make, then a bunch of options just gets popped up. One is make data frame. And if we take a look at it, this is going to give us some data to work with. So you see that we have the indices and we have 4 columns. And this is quite handy. Like, this is a nice way to start with. So we have all the numeric values there. If you want to have something, pd.util.testing and something like you are trying to find out you're trying to make a data frame that can contain, for example, missing data frame. So we have a bunch of options here. This is going to create a data frame which will contain null values, so that in your code, if you want to test something that to test whether we have null values or not, this is a data set for you. pd.util.testing. I'm showing you a few more options. Make a data frame. So we have time series data as well. If you want to take a look at it, please go by yourself. But I'm particularly interested for make mixed data frame. What it does is, so far we have seen numeric values only in our data frame, but this time we have numeric values, we have string values, categorical values, and also we have dates. So this is a pretty handy option for you, pd.util.testing, and then if you type make, you have a bunch of options popping up. Well, please remember that pd.util.testing might get deprecated shortly, but it's still there out there in the market. So this is going to be a handy tool for you if the interviewer is not going to provide you any kind of test data frame. So this is one option. The second option we have seen is we're going to see Scikit-Learn data frames. So Scikit-Learn has also some data frames already built in. So to get access to those data frames from Scikit-Learn, sklearn, we are going to import data sets, and from data sets we have multiple options. Data sets, load, when we type load we see multiple options there. Breast cancer, diabetes, digits, files, iris. So iris is very famous. All these data frames are quite famous and publicly available, so you can play with them. Which one are you going to choose? You need to actually read through it, the documentation, so that you know which one is for regression, which one is for classification, which is for image, and so on, so that you load the appropriate data frame. So when we do say we're interested for this example for load diabetes, so when we are loading it, it is going to give us a bunch of numbers. So how we are going to convert this output into a Pandas data frame? So let's think about it and let's see how we can do it. So we have, say, values, and we have the diabetes data inside our values. What is the type of values? Sorry. So this is going to be a bunch type, which is Scikit-Learn's own data option. So in order to convert to them, the best option is, okay, we have these values by calling load diabetes method. We are going to create a data frame using pd.dataframe. Before that, I'm going to create one more coding section where we're going to see two portions of that values variable. One is the data portion. So these are actually the independent variable values, right? All these values that you're seeing there. So if you take a look at the type of values.data, I think this is going to be a Numpy n-dimensional array. Yes. And there's a second portion of values. So what is values again? Values is the values that you've got by calling load diabetes method. And values has one portion, which is data, which is n-dimensional array, Numpy array. And the values itself is Scikit-Learn's bunch. Now another portion of values is values.feature names, and here these are actually my feature names. So by the way, forgive me, the data portion is also containing the independent and dependent variables. All of the variables are there. Now for feature names is the column names. The y-axis names are there, A, sex, BMI, BP. So these are my columns in my data frame. Now you have the Numpy in an n-dimensional array. Let's take a look at it. This is going to be interesting. The data portion is a Numpy n-dimensional array. The feature names portion is the name of the columns. Okay. Now if you want to create a data frame out of these values, what you're going to do is the data portion inside our data frame is going to be values.data, and the columns are going to be values.feature names, and that should be enough to create our data frame. So we now have our data frame containing 442 rows and all these 10 columns. So this is a second way of doing it. The third way of creating a dummy or toy data set to work with, to experiment with, is using Numpy. So we are going to import Numpy as np, and this is going to be the easier way, no like loading or anything like that. So well, before creating the data frame, let's take a look at what np.random.rand gives us. I'm going to say, okay, give me 100 rows and 10 columns. Okay, so here you can see that this is going to give us what's the type of it. Let's take a look at it again. So np.random.rand, 100 rows, 10 columns. I'm just taking a look at the type of it. And this is numpy.9 n-dimensional array. So you see that from our previous example, we saw that the data portion always contains a numpy n-dimensional array can contain. So if we follow the same thing, in that case, we do not need to see the type of this anymore. Let's put them into values variable again. Okay. And then we are going to do pd.dataframe values. This is going to create our data frame, but we do not have the column names here. If you want to have some dummy column names, you can do it, like columns equal to create a list, or say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, and this is going to create a data frame with 10 columns, but this time we have the names, 100 rows and 10 columns, just the way we asked to do NumPy to create the n-dimensional array for us. It is, all those are having like random numbers. If you run it second time, we're going to see different values for those cells, you see. So these are the three different ways to use or create data frames. So you see Pandas, this might get deprecated shortly, but handy option. This is a Scikit-Learn option. You need to know how to convert the values after loading the data frames into Pandas data frame. And NumPy is, this is one limitation for NumPy is always going to be numeric. And Scikit-Learn also, like, you need to, another limitation is you need to know the data set based on your use case, or like, not know, you need to understand or select the data set based on your use case. And Pandas, the same thing, you need to know the data set based on your use case. Okay, so that's everything for today. I hope you liked it, and this is going to be useful for your interview preparation and during your interview. If you really are getting a benefited from this tutorial, please do subscribe my channel and also click the like button if you liked it. See you in next lecture. Thank you, and until then, have a wonderful time.